Good morning. I'm Jericho Wagon. This is Aaron Riggs, and this is Coffee with the Summerland Kids. It's August 22nd, 2024. And today, the weather in Summerland, California, our beautiful hometown, is 60 degrees currently with a high of 76. And it's mostly sunny again in Summerland. So, hallelujah to that. I remember like the freaking schoolyard early morning, how it'd be like some dew on the lawn or something. We get out there and play before class. So I can't, it's hard to remember that stuff, but, or we got recess super early. I can't remember, honestly. I think we did play a little bit before school. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I don't think I got to school that early to have time to
Right.
play, but I do remember sometimes I'd have a few minutes in the morning where I'd go out. I think we did have like a morning recess.
Yeah, maybe that was
Um,
like at 10 o'clock or something. Like maybe it was 8 to 10. Maybe we got like a 10 o'clock recess break. Maybe that was like a half hour or something. I can't remember.
yeah, I remember there was like a morning recess and then a longer recess during lunch where we
Yeah,
had time
yeah.
to eat and stuff and take recess. I think we even had like an afternoon recess.
I think so too. Yeah. So I think it gave the teachers moments to like, you know, have their lunch and have some peace because we had some. I'm sure schools still have those kids that are just like freaking comedians or wild at heart or something like that. Because we seem like we always had a few of those kids that were just make like they needed their own morning talk show like we do. Back then.
Yeah, I think that,
Yeah,
I mean, we're kids. When you're kids, that's a
I
big
know, right?
part of life is friends.
Yeah,
The
right.
social aspect of going to
Yeah,
school is a lot more than people give it credit for. I think. I mean, they talk, oh
yeah,
yeah, you got to get your curriculum, your reading, writing, and arithmetic.
yeah,
But what about your socialization? Because
yeah,
I
right.
think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I mean, homeschooling, it's kind of a cool concept, but hey, what about your friends? What about the kids in the neighborhood? Unless you're super connecting to them at other times, like after school, so yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's a
anyway,
trip because by the time you're in high school, you got your little cliques or your little groups. There's the jocks, and then there's the
I know.
preps, and then there's I was always with the long hair, the stoners or the misfits or whatever you want to call them, the rockers, heavy
Yeah,
metal.
yeah, yeah. I remember in junior high that stuff kicked. Like my friend Billy Fry and two brothers. Can't remember their names. It was Eric and something, I think, and they were like long red hair, and they were really cool. So it was fun because all of a sudden started to express their own individuality and everything. And yesterday I saw a post, a friend of mine took a picture of her lunch or something, and it was funny because another friend of mine mentioned like eating those burgers that were the super thin patty and nothing else on burger, kind of like I think we got those burgers at Summerland Elementary. So, anyways, it was Santa Barbara High School, and his daughter took a picture of her lunch, and he's like, "Hey, something?" I'm like, "That's kind of like the snack bar, the cheap amusement park snack bar, cheap burger or something."
Yeah, where the buns are kind of stuck to the patty a little bit.
Yeah,
You got to kind of
yeah,
work to pull them apart if you want any condiments in there.
right. I remember the sloppy joes, and I think the lunch lady sloppy joe. There's a whole song about it or something. I think shout out to Adam Sandler. You know, um, basically employing his freaking funny movies. I think that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. I remember in high school, it wasn't until I think I was maybe a sophomore or junior I figured out that they had breakfast at the
oh
cafeteria.
wow,
And,
nice.
it was actually pretty good because, you could get an egg sandwich, kind of like an egg McMuffin. And as I
Yeah.
remember it, they were really reasonably priced. I guess maybe the economy is a lot different, and I guess the lunch cafeteria, didn't have to make a profit per se,
Yeah.
like a
Right.
restaurant would.
Yeah.
But I remember, I guess I was maybe a junior. There's breakfast sandwiches at the cafeteria. So I would, instead of waking up and making some food, sometimes I'd go in early, and I
Oh,
remember the
nice.
the breakfast sandwiches were just like, they were really good,
Yeah.
compared to typical school lunches,
Right.
because it was like, it was hot, it was fresh, the cheese was melty,
Yeah.
it had the sausage, the egg, the muffin,
Nice. That's
and
awesome.
I remember
Well,
it being like really, really affordable,
yeah.
like not like $3 or whatever, $5 for an egg
No.
McMuffin now. It's crazy, you go get
Yeah.
an egg. How much does it cost for an egg, a slice
No.
of cheese, a toast, and a hash brown, whatever, and you end up paying $8 or $9 for a
Dude.
sandwich and a hash brown?
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, when Jay Bra and I were here, I think it's called the Junction Restaurant. Shout out to the Junction Restaurant, Pagosa Springs. It's like a trucker diner place, and it was only we were super surprised. I think they had like $7.99 breakfast, you know, and it was like, yeah. So it was like eggs, hash, coffee, for so you could, in theory, you can get out of there for 10. Like you said, it is still that $10, but it's better than 14, 15, or having to drop a 20 on a breakfast. Like
Oh
at
yeah,
Denny's now.
gosh.
It's just crazy. Santa Barbara City College also had a really amazing as well. I would go up there, when I was in my 20s. High school, college. I went like high school, um, pretty much had an after school job. And then I was actually in the ROP, regional occupation program of my senior year. So essentially, I was graduated high school, but I was doing the summer class because I was working on my own project. I was working on my own van. I had a 67 Volkswagen to paint it. And then that's when I met my new boss, Joe Costa. Shout out to Joe. And Joe called my teacher and said, "You got any good students? I need some help." So, and Joe was super cool, and I was like 19 years old, and Joe took me under his wing, and it was just him. And I really unlike Joe. Joe was from Falmouth, back in Boston area, and he grew up in a body shop. His dad taught him the trade, and college right away. I just did, a job. I was working a full-time job and good money, and my paycheck kept going up and up, and I really enjoyed it. And all the companies that we provided products from, like DuPont and um, you know PPG, they all the paint companies for the cars would stuff, and I always enjoyed that because they give away free pizza in little seminars, and so we learn a little bit about trade tech and stuff, and get that camaraderie. You have all these old dudes, some young guys, and they were, it's interesting because a lot of them in their, I would say some of them, when they're in their 20s, and they're making really good money because they were in production body shops. So you kind of always look like the cool dudes driving the cool cars, and one guy had like a Pink Panther on the back and custom paint, and so as you can really see like the creative element in their own time, on body shop time, sometimes off the clock, whatever. It was cool to work in an environment where young men and other were all really into what they were doing, and making a good process. And eventually, I did kind of get inspired to go back to college in my for art classes, and I just did my own independent like taking I tried to take some math and some, basic courses, but I was like, it's Santa Barbara City College. So anyways, Barbara City College especially has such a great, um, people that aren't doing. The City College is an affordable alternative, and it's right on the freaking beach in Santa Barbara. I don't know if you remember that football field down there, right by Ledbetter, with a stadium right there. So it's like, what kind of dream sequence is this? I mean, it's like good times.
Yeah, it's community college, city colleges. Those are. I actually did take some classes too.
Yeah.
Ceramics.
Oh,
I think I
nice.
took ceramics, and the second year of ceramics.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I was probably 30 something years old, then I went back to college and got a degree.
Oh, cool.
I did it online actually, so it's an
Nice.
online degree, but a college.
That's still cool. Yeah.
And it was cool because
What the hell?
that was what I was studying is online communication. And what better way to learn online communication than by communicating or commuting to class digitally? That's when I first really got I guess an upgraded computer.
Right.
I guess I always kind of had a computer before
Yeah.
then. But got a
That's
really
cool.
nice computer, got a really nice desk, had it set up, and it was kind of cool because I got neck issues and back issues, so if I didn't feel up to it, I didn't have to like be into class at a certain time. It was really interesting because
Right.
there was like a virtual classroom and a virtual discussion, so you could go in anytime, day or night, and read the comment threads. It was really interesting because it was like a Reddit,
Okay.
a Reddit where you had different threads, different questions that the teacher would ask, and you were required to comment and have a discussion. So you had to have, I guess it was 2 or 3 replies or comments to each question thread. And so you'd read through all these different students, but it was really nice because if I woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep, I could do it. If my neck was that bad and I was having a headache, I could take a couple days off.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
I don't know if it's the best way to learn, but it worked for
Well,
me.
you were ahead of the curve, man, because I'm remembering, of course, since we're on Summerland Kids, I remember 1999. I was years old, I believe. Yeah. So, and that was an amazing time in our life. When 2000, 2001, those years, I believe, computers started to happen. Advancing in computers, Napster came out, and it was just a fun kind of. My buddies were doing eBay, early days of eBay, and really loving it because from Montecito area, one of my buddies specifically, I think he followed after his dad, shot his dad Ned. Um, they Montecito is such a in terms of the residents and what their possessions, essentially their collect and stuff like that. And sometimes stuff would end out on the curbside that was like amazing antique book. I would grab those books and get them for nothing and sell them on eBay, and sometimes make a good little side hustle. Back then, that was the pioneering days of the computers. Kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess there's still deals out there. You find yard sales and stuff.
Yeah.
But it makes it, I guess, a little harder to find because obviously anybody sitting at home getting ready to do a yard sale can look up the item
Yeah.
that they're about to sell and be like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize that this was worth $100. I'm not going to put it out there for 50 cents."
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I guess that helps the person getting rid of the stuff at least optimize their money because there's definitely you got to have an eye for that kind of stuff. I mean, you can go around and pick up free stuff all day long, but is that free stuff going to be sellable or is it going to be piling up in your garage or piling up in a future dump run is the question. But back in the early days, back I guess it was in the 2000s. I was doing in 1999, 2000. I was
Yeah.
doing cable TV. That
Awesome,
was
bro.
my job, and then
That's cool.
they had a big push. We need guys that know computer
Oh.
because we're doing internet now.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of cool. We actually, our company put us up for a week and sent us to the city
Do you remember
to have some training.
Which city was it? Do you remember what city? Was it LA or was it?
It was. I think it was not in LA, but it was like close to LA.
Okay. Close to LA.
But it was kind of funny because here we are, Central Coast crew. We're kind of, we're our own little animal.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think there was maybe 6 or 8 of us that were sent up,
awesome.
On the job, sent up to go get this training. And I don't know how Central Coast, but oh gosh, this crew was crazy. And then the boss who was up there, because they sent a boss up there with us. It was all about shots and the bar.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
So we'd go to class and then, let's go to the bar and have shots of tequila on me. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And they had
Yeah. Wow.
But apparently it was a very
That's
profitable,
awesome.
very profitable for the company for a while there to have, some data technicians, some people that could go install the computer. And I remember when the Cal Poly, the university up there, not the city, but the big one, they have their students coming in and moving into the student housing. And it was just a big push. Oh gosh, how many installs could you get in one day to install
Oh,
these?
wow.
Because you were paid per install, right?
Okay.
So you were paid
wow.
per install. So a couple of the guys, they'd show up there, 8 o'clock and stay till 8 o'clock at night and just do maybe, 10 installs in a day. And, you're getting like, I think they were paying like $60 or $80 per install. And so if you get 10 installs done in a day, then some of the guys were making $3,000, $4,000 in a week.
Oh, wow.
Just because they were there, running. Well, go install, do 10 installs in a day.
That's cool.
Because you're at the student house, right? So you don't have to climb no telephone poles. And you didn't even have to open a box, as far as like a cable box, because everything was controlled through the hub, and they just you call it in, and what's the address, and they'd hit a signal, and it'd turn on the relay, and then you'd have to plug everything in and turn it on. But then a lot of the students are like, "Oh no, I know how to do this," and so you just bring them the equipment and make the call. And by the time you're done with the call, the student had everything hooked up with the equipment.
Nice.
So you can test it and go. And so like the installs were taking what would normally take an hour to 2 hours, depending on how much cable you had to run. Some of the guys had it down to like 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And, but they got the same pay for install because, we're a subcontractor.
Yeah, it's a flat rate for per install.
Yeah, so we didn't work for the company directly. We worked for a subcontractor company. And so the subcontractor company had a contract with Charter Communication. And so for each install of whatever it was a certain amount of money.
Right.
Didn't make a difference if it was a nightmare install or an apartment install or, student housing where you just had to call it in.
Yeah.
So, I guess, by that time I was kind of up in the management echelon. So we could kind of pick and choose who, I had a couple of friends. I'm like, no, don't take her out today. Come with me. Why?
Okay.
What are you doing? Oh, sales. What do you mean sales? Oh no, don't worry about it. And so it was just, I guess they called it sales because it was a budget thing for Charter.
Okay.
But it was just basically the same thing. You just do an installation. There was actually a sales team there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a funny story.
Yeah, we had the same experience when we go, to go to the trade school for the weekend or something, and they would with the guys. It wasn't, we didn't do the shots, but I think that some people definitely was a Christian guy, and so he was cool because it was just like, it was kind of like a good lead boss, Joe. And but I did enjoy the camaraderie within the also because we were with a bunch of other men from different shops. So the same business, but you're from different areas and you're meeting at a place that no one's ever been before. It's at lunchtime, and it's kind of taken care of by the company or by the bigger company that we were getting trained by. Thing where you get to get out of town and go get trained, and then you bring all that knowledge back, and you're uplifted. It has an uplifting feeling, and then you bring back the paperwork and binders. There was no iPads or anything like back when I started in the body shop world. It was like the Mitchell manuals. So you literally had to buy to refer to, for my boss at least, for writing estimates. So it was like, it was a different world, but we lived through a transition to essentially looking it up on the computer. So that you.
Oh yeah, gosh.
You facilitated that process because we were using actually a microfiche film, and it actually blows it up on your screen to mix your up. Okay, here's your paint code on the car. Find the microfiche that has the paint code that you need. And so now.
Yeah, you had to have that special microfiche machine.
Yeah.
You had like
exactly.
the little card.
Yeah,
and
that's
you put
it.
it in there, and you find the right little square. Oh, I can see it on the screen.
Yeah. So talking about old school, I mean, I preferred it that way. I mean, for me, it's more like hardline, simple. The computers make it a little, maybe it's not. I don't know. It's nowadays the scales are digital. Back then we were also using. I started. It was a non-digital scale, so it was an old school scale, like almost like probably some guys weed in the old days. It was like a, what do they call it?
The old triple beam.
Yeah, the triple beams.
Yeah, that little tap.
Yeah, using the triple beam scale to measure out the paint and all that. It's all digital, so you get a real, by the drop. I mean, one time I think, is it on the first drop? Because it'll let you do 2 drops is the number. So because when you're mixing paint, a drop of paint will change when you're really trying to be specific. I mean, I think the digital realm definitely helped way more exact and precise than before. But there's less room for error, I guess, in theory. But the human.
Well, yeah. I mean, nowadays instead of having to pour it and weigh it, you got like a machine. You just type it in and it goes beep beep beep.
Yeah, that part too. That's like at Ace Hardware and your paint stores. That's what they're doing now. Yeah, but
No, the old school, like you're talking about how it used to be microfiche. Well, you remember the days of the folding paper maps and Thomas guides?
Oh God, yeah.
So that's when I was doing the cable when we were doing route work, and you had that was part of the training and part of the requirement is that you could read a map, and they'd give you a Thomas guide, a book. Like, I don't know if you remember the Thomas guide.
I do. I totally remember the
Thomas guide. Address. You didn't just type it in, or talk it in to the thing. You had to like look up in the index and. Okay, this is in square B7, so you'd have to look with a magnifying glass on top.
Oh my God!
And that was a tricky skill, because I think it was Washington, and there would be like northwest. So you had B Street.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, there's B Street northwest. There's B Street southwest. There's B Street northeast. There's B Street northwest. Wait, we're not done. There's not only B Street, there's B Avenue. There's B Court. There's B Lane. So you have all these northwest, south, east, B Street. And so, it was kind of tricky in some of the areas. And that was kind of fun. Nowadays, I guess you just tell it. Not that I,
Yeah.
because it's funny. I actually was teaching my girlfriend because she went to go to a town here to get the rabbit
Yeah.
neutered, and she just, oh, I'm not going to use the map, but I had to teach, just press the map. This is the
Yeah.
button that takes you home.
Yeah.
And
No,
if
there
you
you go.
want to go somewhere, you just tell the computer, I want to go here.
Yeah. I showed my dad that too. That's how my dad got back from Santa Fe because he had never used it in that way. I think he just looked things up, but he never used like the turn by turn. But I love turn by turn, man. It's nowadays, and we transitioned in the moving company as well from in like God, it was like pre 2012. I want to say 20, and the phones then. A lot of the guys were on these cheaper Metro cell phones, but they did have a turn-by-turn navigation, and also too, some guys had the Garmin GPS system, so it's
I
like,
had a Garmin.
yeah, so it's like that kind of kids will never know the trouble that we had to go through to get to, just to, like, I remember calling a girlfriend going like, I don't need, from home, tell me where to go, because she had the computer at home. She could tell me, you're here. All right, you need to be, you know, but still, it was like I spent out. This was working for the film industry, trying to pick up some props or something, and I was just having to find a location where this prop store was or
Well,
something.
back in
So,
the day, I mean, you
anyways,
had to even know origami to
yeah,
find your, because you unfold the map. How you going to fold the map back up? It never seemed to fold up right,
right,
to where it took a little bit of
yeah,
skill to
yeah,
not
no,
only and it's like you had to pull over. You can't very well open and fold one of these big maps that are however big, much
right,
bigger than a small phone, and try and
yeah,
find your way while you're driving. So
totally
definitely,
classic.
definitely the GPS has made navigation quite a bit simpler.
Oh God, yeah, it's changed the game so far across. Remember when we were kids, those video games that really people look like almost like a digital child drawing, where it's like a box and a little box on his head. A man built out of boxes, essentially. What are those pixels? The 8-bit or something like that. So Pong, even just these two lines and two squares bouncing across the screen. Basic rudimentary thing, but it kind of led us. It made you really kind of almost imagine far greater than what you were seeing. And I think Tron helped that too with something that our imaginations were far better, of course, in all their magic of back then they were doing it by hand, but there was light cycles and stuff, and it just really kind of took yourself to where the computer, that was the whole new thing for us, and it was so cool to imagine that, play it, and of course play the game, see the game at the arcade. So that was almost like kind of how Star Wars tied in the gears to the whole experience, where Tron tied in with the movie experience and the arcade experience, and then it kind of just blew our mind. Yeah, good times.
Oh yeah, mind blown.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I'm just thinking back to that. That map.
Yeah,
How difficult, how much knowledge and skill do you have to use the Thomas guide or
yeah,
to unfold that map compared to just
right.
press a button. Okay, Google, can you take me to the nearest grocery store? You don't even need a
Yeah,
name or anything. It'll take you there.
I still like those ones that are the larger format. Um, I don't know, it's sort of just a large format book, sort of magazine, whole United States, let's say, and it has the breakdown. So at least you can navigate. The cellular system went down. At least you could get yourself essentially state to state using map system, which is kind of good to have around as backup. So yeah, good edition, episode
Oh yeah,
99.
absolutely.
Yeah. You
All
have a
right,
great day
hey
out
buddy,
there.
we made it another show,
Yeah,
show 99.
exactly. Show 99. We'll see you tomorrow for 100. All right. Cheers, man.
All right, have an
Cheers. Have a
awesome
great
day.
day. You too. All right. Bye.